feel like social media has glamorized building a business. What would you say are the best businesses to get involved in for young entrepreneurs who have an aspiration to sell? Where do you generally get the best multipliers and perhaps the worst multipliers?
On this episode of the Multipliers Club, we are joined by Dee Ludlow, someone who plays a very different game to most entrepreneurs you see online. While most people are focused on starting from zero, chasing trends, or building businesses the hard way, Dee focuses on buying businesses, structuring smart deals, and scaling them through his group ownership.
I started off with startups, and as you guys probably know, it was really painful. Some went pretty good, but most of them just went drastically wrong, like most do. And usually it's because when you start off, you have a small pot of capital to start with, and it runs out very quicker than you think, right?
Dee has interests, equity, or options in over 15 companies, multiple exits under his belt, and has been involved in businesses collectively valued at way over $100 million. In this conversation, we talk about why most startups fail, why buying the right businesses can outperform starting one from scratch, and how to actually find businesses worth buying, including what Dee looks for himself, as well as the red flags most people miss.
If you want to go and race on the F1 track, you don't turn up in a Ford Fiesta, right? And I felt like a lot of the things I was doing up until the point where I started actually buying companies the way I do it now, I felt like I was just in the wrong vehicle.
Dee also breaks down partnerships, pressure, exits, tax, and the realities of building wealth in the UK versus the US or Dubai. This is Dee Ludlow on the Multipliers Club. So Dee, finally, we've been trying to get you on the podcast for probably the last
time.
18 months in the UK, where we're all from. So happens the Dubai way, we're all out here at the same time, managed to get you on. So appreciate it.
No, I'm glad we made it happen.
Looking forward to it. Obviously, this podcast is all about business, entrepreneurship. Most people come on, they've got either one business or maybe they're involved with a few things they've set up. But most people have been there from the start, typically. You take a bit of a different approach, different strategy, something that really, really interests me personally. I think because I've always watched Dragon's Den right from being super young, right? And that's owning multiple businesses, not necessarily running the day-to-day of the businesses, but owning multiple businesses. You're buying businesses, selling businesses. Believe it's over £100 million or $100 million group collectively. So how did you come about first starting to take that route rather than just startups, or has it not always been that way?
I started off with startups, and as you guys probably know, it was really painful. Some went pretty good, but most of them just went drastically wrong, like most do. And usually it's because when you start off, you have a small pot of capital to start with, and it runs out very quicker than you think, right? And then also you're constrained on talent, trying to build the brand, and without the brand and without brand trust, you don't get no customers. Without no customers, no one makes any money, and then you fail. So I started off that way, but the good thing about that, doing it that way, I think, especially when you're young, you learn to wear all the hats. You understand all the challenges of business, and then you have no choice then when you get quite good to delegate, because you understand the roles to a certain extent. So yeah, I started off that way. I tried a lot of different things, probably most of the things that people see now, all the shiny objects that everyone tries.
What sort of stuff?
Dropshipping, e-commerce.
I've done dropshipping.
Clothing brand,
done a clothing brand. Gyms, anything that was basically low barrier to entry.
Yeah,
I've tried. Trading, everything. I find it hard. First of all, I find it hard to stay focused. So it's probably a lot of it was my fault as well. You look at so many different shiny objects and you want to move fast. So that was probably some of the things that went wrong for me. But I did learn a lot from it. Some went pretty good. Some went awfully wrong. So, and then where did it go from there? So then I was involved in businesses from a consultancy perspective as well. You start to learn a lot. I got asked to help someone else. And then that person offered me equity, which at the time I knew what it was, but I didn't quite understand what it could be. And then, just like most people in the UK, having read Rich Dad Poor Dad very young, I thought as soon as I get some money, I'm going to chuck it into property, right? And then I did that. And then I realized that to get anything meaningful, like good cash flow to the point where you can do things that you want to do, you needed quite a lot of property, especially if you're just buying buy-to-lets, right? So I found that you run out of money very quickly too. So then I thought, I need to go back to business money to do it better this time. It's obviously a long story up until that point, but this is me just giving you a bird's eye view of it. And then I read a book called The Art of Distressed M&A. And at this point, I'd actually bought companies, but just not the way it should be done, really, or the best way you could do it. And when I read that book and you start to understand, if you can turn around a distressed company, when you get a good company, it's a lot easier, right? You'll still have issues, but it's a lot easier because you have time on your side, where with a distressed company, there's usually a runway of the time until the company fails. And then I start to understand deal structure a little bit. And when you first start off and you're looking at companies, me and you could both buy a company today, and just on knowledge alone, you could put £500,000 into the deal and I could put nothing in. Just understanding how to put the deal together.
Yeah.
The swing is crazy. So I focused on deal structure more than anything, because that's the piece where the real value comes into it. You have to buy the company right. The thing is, especially because of online, everyone looks for like quick shortcut and stuff. And I know there's a lot of like talk around get rich quick stuff, because the truth is that's what everyone's looking for. Everyone's looking for secrets, right? Because everyone wants to get there.
Fast track.
Yeah, everyone wants the fast track version to it, right? But no matter what you pick, whichever sector, it's still going to take a bit of time at the end of the day, right? It's just important that you pick the right vehicle to get here. And my problem was I had £100 million goal, and I was probably in a £100,000 vehicle. So it's just, you can't go, if you want to go and race on the F1 track, you don't turn up in a Ford Fiesta, right? And I felt like a lot of the things I was doing up until the point where I started actually buying companies the way I do it now, I felt like I was just in the wrong vehicle.
Makes sense. And so now what sort of businesses, what industry are you buying in, or is it a complete mix?
Yeah, don't do it the way I did it. Like completely agnostic. And the only reason being is because when you learn how to do it, is you just think there's opportunity everywhere. And you can get so creative in this industry. You can move the goalpost to the point where you do deals that you probably shouldn't do. Because it's not like property where you have a property, you look at what you can buy it for today. Can you get below market value? Where's the value add through refurbishment or renovation? And then what's the anticipated GDV? And there's only so much you can do. Whereas with this, you can literally move the goalpost so much, you can 100% force a deal over the line you should not do. And that's what I was doing a lot. And then also, when you start putting it out there and people start to see what you do, they offer you equity, they offer you to get involved in companies, and all of a sudden you end up having equity in a lot of things. And so I flipped it to holding the equity in a form of a call option. So it's just a piece of paper. So then it reduces your liability on the company if the person that runs the company or the majority shareholder doesn't take the company in the direction you want it to go in. So you just reduce your risk a little bit.
Expand on that a little bit. A call option, I understand like what an option is then. So, but then just expand on that.
Right. So
that works.
You can have an option, but not the obligation, right?
Yeah.
So when it comes to an option, so if I was to buy a company from you today,
yeah,
or let's say you was going to sell your company, you want to sell your company, and you was going to sell your company, and I think you want to sell it for £1 million, and I think I could probably get you 2 million for it if we change a few things in the company, or we do we prep it ready for sale. I could say to you, well, right, today is worth £1 million, so we're going to put a hurdle and in at £1 million. So anything over £1 million, I want a piece of it. I want 20 pence of every pound over £1 million. But up to £1 million, you get the full £1 million. Now, if I create the value over and above £1 million to 2 million, I can either take the equity day one. We're in the UK. There's a tax implication when you take equity, or you can have it as a form of an option, a piece of paper. So when you take it to sale, I can exercise my option on exit. I can still get the proceeds for the value of the option. I don't have the tax implication until exit.
Got you.
Yeah.
And what about if the company decides to not exit?
Yes, you can put drag and tag rights in place. So the agreement itself, there's ways where I can force the sale.
Okay.
Or if you was to sell to somebody else, there's ways I can tag along to that sale as well.
Yeah.
It all comes down when you operate in this way, it's all down to legal governance.
Yeah.
And you learn a lot. And to be fair, I learned a lot of it from not doing it. And then a lawyer says to you, "Why didn't you do this?" Or so.
Yeah.
To do what you do, you must absolutely love business, right?
Yeah.
How many businesses do you currently have?
So I have interest or equity or options in 15 at the moment.
15 as a total. Wow, okay.
Yeah.
So I could imagine over the years, you've probably got into bed with some of the wrong people.
Oh, yeah.
And I guess it's kind of hard to know that beforehand. Like, what would perhaps be, could you share a couple of stories where it might have just gone terribly wrong?
Yeah, I'll briefly mention, because, you know,
Legalities.
there's a podcast, right? It's online.
Yeah, I need the names.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Address, call
Yeah.
outs.
So the problem is with business, there's this whole thing around, you know, don't do business with friends or family, right? I actually think that I don't see the harm in it if everyone knows what role they play, because you know those people or you're related to those people. Yes, it can cause issues, but also, for instance, not two people shouldn't think they're the CEO. Two people shouldn't do the marketing. Well, you can both contribute towards it, but if you define different roles, that's where it's successful. The problem is when you go into business with someone you don't know, most of the time, both of the people want to be the CEO. So you're both doing the same thing, which is a bit unproductive. And also when you first have the conversation around it, at the start when everyone's optimistic, it's amazing, right? It's like, you know, this is going to happen. Or you think of all the things that could go right. It's not until money actually gets involved and you actually start generating revenue is where conversations and start happening, and people maybe regret the share split or whatever, or the arrangement in the beginning. And when, you know, people who turn up to an interview to be a business partner or an employee, no one turns up as the worst version of themselves. It's like, I always think it's like going on a first date. No one turns up, you say all the things on a first date that you're good at and how nice you are and why you're different to everybody else. It's the same as like a job interview or an interview or a conversation when someone's going to go into business for you. You know, so it is quite hard because you have to make a judgment call on that individual. For me, I think that the best way to look at it, and I've made a lot of mistakes on this. I'm one of those people that end up trying to bring everyone along with them, which is my downfall, I think. You know, you try and help a lot of people. I think when someone can demonstrate competence, that's the starting point. Because it's easy to talk a good game, and people usually exchange effort as their form of value. Like, I'll put the work in, you know, I'll work, you know, around the clock. And then because of the effort that they're telling you they're going to put in, you believe it holds value. And, you know, that's just talk. So if you've seen they've done something before, that's a good starting point. If you're just starting out together, then you need to really think about the worst case scenario there and then. Like, I think that if you can't handle the conversation about what if before there's any money involved, before you started, imagine what's going to happen when you're in a situation when money is involved or you now don't like each other. And that's, I think, the biggest telling is if you start to say, well, you know, what if you died? Was your wife, I can't work with your wife, or I can't work with your girlfriend, or, you know, family member, and then all of a sudden they get a bit defensive over it. So that's why we need to put something in place, or an insurance policy, to make sure that we don't become business partners.
It's very interesting to hear you say that. So me and Luke, we run a marketing company together. We have done since 2019, June. We've never had a contract ever. And then I think it was last year, like, we actually started to do okay revenue-wise. And we were like, shit, if one of us, because we trust each other 100%, so it's not like a question of that, but if one of us dies, or if both of us die on a plane at the same time, like, you know, we probably need to get something in place, even though it's very unlikely it could happen.
Me and Jakey will step up, mate.
Yeah.
Take it on, yeah.
So we hired a solicitor, and we did actually get a contract drawn up. Did we sign it?
Actually, I have no idea.
I don't even think we signed it.
Do it.
I don't think we signed it. We probably should
Should do.
sign it. We didn't pay loads, we paid like $2,000. We started thinking about wills and everything. Like, you don't think about this stuff when you're broke. Like, we come from nothing. We're very humble beginnings. But I guess it's very important to take into consideration, isn't it?
I think it's so important. Like a shareholder agreement, I know at the start, because I've gone into loads of ventures without them, because, like I said, it's all cool at the start, right? Everyone's friends.
Yeah.
But it is good to have those conversations, because if it does go wrong, then if you always revert back to the piece of paper and say, look, we did agree this, and if this was going to happen, this is what was meant to happen. So whether we like or dislike each other now, the contract, we was happy to both sign that piece of paper back then.
I'm guessing, like, so I won't go into detail on mine, but I've been in a situation myself. So my first piece of advice to anyone that's asked me now, if they're going in a partnership, is that shareholders agreement first, and the what if conversations and all the rest of it, like exactly what you just said, just because of first-hand experience. But am I right in saying when you do all of that properly and you have that shareholders agreement, do you find actually then the confrontation just never really comes too much down the line, because you're not going to think about it because you know both parties it's already written and agreed, or do you still get a lot of it coming up?
I still think it'll come up because there's different challenges that come up, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like you see someone's true character when they're under pressure.
Yeah.
And at the start, there's no real pressure because it's new.
I've got a good question. Do you find these situations arise more in a tough situation or a good situation, i.e. the business is up against it, you're losing money, or actually now you're getting a lot of success and money's coming in?
That's a bloody good question.
It is a good question. I think it's when the business is under pressure. When it's going well, like the signs start to tell, and the one probably will feel they're doing a bit more. But then that's when, if you have different roles, it's like, well, I do what I need to do in my role, and you do what you need to do in your role. And, just your role may just generate more revenue. But my roles may be operations, and for you to generate more revenue, I need to make sure that the ship's tight, right? So that conversation, I think that becoming mature in business, you start to understand like the different types of value in people. But I think when it's under pressure, you see someone's true character straight away, and decisions need to be made fast, and then blame starts happening, and then people start to think, well, I've done this, and I signed this client that was the biggest part of our business. What have you done? And
Tip for tat kind of thing.
Yeah, it's just stuff that no one ever brought up until that point. But now we're under pressure. So I think transparency and open line of communication is important. If you can't keep having those difficult conversations, then you shouldn't really be in business.
Joe here, just a quick break from this episode. You can see we've flown out to Dubai. We're investing massively into growing this channel, bringing on bigger and better guests. And if you're watching this and you are getting value, you're enjoying it, then just do us one favor. Please hit the subscribe button. The more followers and subscribers we get on the podcast, the more incredible guests we can bring on, just like this one, the more conversations you get to enjoy and learn from. All right, back to the podcast.
What are you looking for? That's the kind of red flags, I guess. What are you mainly looking for when you are trying to find like a good business that you want to invest in? Or
Like, to elaborate as well, like characteristics of the individual, like what do you look for and what are red flags?
If I was to, if I was to invest in a business, or if I was to buy a business?
I suppose just anything where you would have to go into business with somebody.
Talent and, like I said, demonstrated competence. I'd want to see that they can do what they say. Because there's people that I've helped on a consultancy basis. I work on their deals. I've invested in those deals because of them, because I believe that they do hold the skill set to drive the business, do exactly what they say, and they're going to put effort in. Because I think the biggest misconception of buying a business is people think it's like a buy-to-let, where they just buy it and then they just go on holiday and it's passive income. And you make it passive? Yes, because I know people I've helped buy companies that have gone into the company to try and be the new owner and the new manager and run it, and they're not needed. So they're like, well, I'm just standing on people here. There's no point in me being here. So on a leather management team, do what they're meant to do, and I'll oversee and see if they need my support. So it all depends on the business itself, but you'd want to make sure that, because there's only so much real organizational due diligence you can do, whether you're buying a company or going into a partnership with somebody, you're going to find a lot of it out afterwards. So all you can really look at is historical data, and you can start asking some of the tough questions like, tell me a time when you've been under pressure, how you dealt with it, the basic common sense stuff. But I think you have to grill people. That's what I would do. I've asked really difficult questions on purpose, and just if they think I'm a bit of an arsehole for it, it's like, well, you're not really ready for a business partner.
What would be perhaps some of the tougher questions where it could become slightly confrontational? And has it ever rubbed anyone's back up when you've had that initial conversation?
I think the toughest conversations I've had is with my brother, because I tell him, like, I'm going to be more judgmental because he's my brother, right?
Yeah.
So and I'm the older brother. So I'm probably harder on him than anyone.
Are you guys in business together?
Yeah, he works for me. So, we have companies together, but with him, because I care more and I'm more judgmental, I don't let him, I don't give him no margin for error, But so I probably have my toughest conversations with him. I know he doesn't like it. He takes it well.
Yeah.
But he's probably the one I grill the hardest.
Did you go into business with him in the early days? Was it something you contemplated, didn't want to ruin the relationship, or what was the journey with that?
So we're very, very different, like completely different. Like it's personalities. So we went into business with each other, I think, eventually at like 25, because he did very well in like the barber industry. I mean, like,
Okay.
he's on the board at City and Guilds, like the governing body. He's traveled the world. He's been paid to cut a ton of celebrities' hair, and like he's done really well. And then he went traveling, done a lot of consultancy work, came back and was like, I think that we should grow a barbershop chain. And I was just like, I can't imagine hiring loads of barbers. That's going to be an absolute nightmare. But I felt he had the drive. So I thought we'll open one location, did that, and then we bought a few locations. And then I went to a company and said, what do we need to do to franchise this model, and then just roll it out. And that's what we was working towards. He got offered another opportunity in Norway, and I had quite a few other business interests, and someone offered us to buy it. So I just said, it's probably going to take us another 24 months, 36 months to get it where we need to get to. None of us really have the energy. You have a great opportunity, so let's sell it. So we sold it. That was our first time in business together, and we had quite a lot of arguments throughout that time, and we wasn't even working directly with each other. So, and a lot of the time is because we had different opinions on it. He had industry knowledge on this is how it's done in the industry, and I was coming from a completely different approach, and I'm not too interested in the way it should be done. I am, and I'm not. It needs to make business sense.
It's a hard game, isn't it, the barber game? Like, there's so much competition. There's like 5-6 barbers in every street.
It's very hard.
And the Kurdish barbers are very good.
They are.
How many of your businesses do you own outright, and how many are they all partnerships? Have you got business partners in all of them, or
Every single one.
every single one? And question: when do you often make someone within the business? So not someone bringing you in, but you're acquiring the business. Would you then make one of the key people a partner because they know the business inside out, or like?
That's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
From my experience, the best way to do it is they need to have skin in the game too. So and the operating partner who operates the company, they have equity too.
Yeah.
And because they got skin in the game, they also want to grow it. Because unfortunately, especially on the UK side of business, we're not exactly a performance-based economy. So if someone don't feel like they have a piece of the bigger picture, they're just going to pick up a paycheck, unfortunately. So in the UK, it's very difficult to really incentivize people. You do have people like you create a good culture and a good dynamic in the company, but it's
So what's your role? You said it's important for people to have and know what their role is. What would you say? You've got 15 businesses now, or business interests. What's your role in each of those businesses?
mainly strategic oversight. So the long-term vision of the company, and I need to make sure the people running those companies are accountable. I'll have full visibility of what's going on financially in those companies, so I need to also keep an eye. We do have like fractional CFOs in place, so they tend to give me the feedback, and then if I feel like something needs changing, I'll get involved. But really, I'm focused on acquisition. So, and that's the one thing I think is a big constraint in a lot of companies is, when they have a good platform, they think, I'm going to scale through acquisition, but it's like a job in itself. You can do it. You can operate and run a company and also look at acquiring. But if you've got someone full-time acquiring, you're going to grow a lot faster than someone that's trying to be the CEO. And
Yeah, I could imagine. I'd love to get your take on something, right? So I feel like social media has glamorized building a business, making profit, selling, Bali lifestyle on a beach, laptop, strawberry daiquiri, right? Now, I've learned, being run a marketing agency, the multipliers on marketing agencies are actually pretty terrible because churn rate's so high, right? What would you say are the best businesses to get involved in 2025 for young entrepreneurs who have an aspiration to sell? Where do you generally get the best multipliers and perhaps the worst multipliers?
So I'll first speak on what you first said about the start from zero, sale to exit. So
Yeah.
there's only two generations really worth focusing on, right? You have the one generation, like the baby boomer generation, that firstly, they own over half the companies, private companies in the UK. They also hold over 80% of the private wealth in the UK, right? If they still have a company, or if you're in that generation, you have a company, it's probably a good company, it's resilient, probably has good infrastructure, loyal customers, and it has a ton of historical data, probably decades. Then you have the other generation, the younger generation, that wants something cool, fun, sexy, and they're obsessed with starting from zero for some reason. Now, the only problem with starting from zero is almost all startups fail in the first 5 years. The ones that make it to 5 years, only 33% then make it to a decade. So they're already stacking the odds against themselves. But both of those generations have something the other one wants. Baby boomers would probably give anything to have some more time, because you can't buy back time that's passed. But then the younger generation would give everything to guarantee success. Now, the good thing with the younger generation is there is a way you can almost guarantee success. And the way to do it is buy something that has good infrastructure, loyal customers, historical data, resilient, all the things that the baby boomers hold in. So I don't know where this obsessed with zero mindsets come from. I get it. People want to build something and start something fresh. And if you're fresh out of school, I think it's a really good way to understand business and the way business works. But I just think that we're in a situation, very unique time, where this is never, ever going to happen again, what we're going through at the moment. Just with that amount of wealth, having no choice but transition to another person, most of their kids don't want them. I know someone right now that's doing $500,000 a month in profit. He has a son and a daughter. The son wants to trade crypto, and the daughter still wants to go stay in university and study law, right?
God.
Like $500,000 profit. The company has full management structure. He's offered it to them multiple times, and they say, I don't want to do it because it's a waste management company. It's like they're going to regret it 100% because that's going to get sold. And, yes, they're probably not going to have to work much because it's going to sell for a lot of money. But I just feel that because of all the shiny objects, people chase all of those things. So everyone's obsessed with starting from zero. Now, what businesses are good to buy? I still think, regardless of AI and what the things that robotics are going to disrupt, I think anything in trades, that's not going to go anywhere for a long time. I still think the AI narrative is still a long way away from where people think it is. It's moving very fast, but I think that, people have said for years and years that it's going to happen at this time and this time. And we have seen huge steps and it's an exponential growth. But I think anything in trades, anything in renewables, because there's a big push for renewable energy. So I think and the multipliers are creeping up in that sector. But I think that the real value add is if you build a group, really. Because if you buy something, first and foremost, you want to buy something that's really solid, like a really solid platform that makes good money, probably has a decent size ecosystem that you could probably bring something else into. And then, if you buy something, let's say you bought it at 2 times or whatever, 2 times EBITDA, and then you buy another one, and you're buying these on average around 2 times, all of a sudden you have a bit of a group, you find some synergy. Of course, it's easier said than done. All of a sudden you have a group, and let's say the group's now trading at 4 or 5 times because it's a bigger operation. You found some synergies, some cross-sells, upsells, and maybe some cost consolidation or whatever. And then all of a sudden now, everything you buy from that point onwards, if you're buying them at 2 or 3, you've instantly got multiple arbitrage because they're coming in and being valued 5 times the second you buy them. And then also what you're doing is you're creating a vehicle for private equity. So at the moment, if you're looking for an institutional grade investor, realistically, you're going to want to probably be up at around 1.5, £2 million EBITDA. Now, there's obviously a small amount of companies at that size, right? In the grand scheme of things. So, and they're struggling to deploy. There's more money held in private equity right now than ever, and they're struggling to deploy the money purely because they're all chasing the same deals, And they've already paid a serious premium on a lot of companies over the past couple of years off the back of COVID. So really, there's a big opportunity for somebody to, grow and something that fits their mandate, because then you're getting a group ready to sell to them. And if you want real multiple expansion and you want to sell for a high multiple, the best person to sell to is an institutional grade investor.
Would you say, though, with the current state of the economic climate in the UK, capital gains tax has just risen. There's another budget coming out. I think it's the end of this month.
Yeah.
Rachel Reeves has literally said it's not going to be nice, right?
No.
Is it nice?
It's never nice, is it? Have you got like baby boomers who are holding, same way people are leaving money in houses to wait for another government, perhaps? Are you seeing that affecting the sale of businesses?
Not yet, but if she scraps entrepreneurs relief, then that could be a possibility. Now, there's other ways to do it. So there's other ways to, for them to, go through some form of liquidity event without having to 100% sell the business. But that is an issue. Like if she scraps, like you got to think entrepreneurs relief used to be 10 million. If they change it to $1 million overnight.
Could you break down what that is for the viewers?
So entrepreneurs relief was you only pay a certain percentage of capital gains up to a certain figure. So it used to be 10% up to 10 million overnight. They dropped it from 10 million to 1 million. Last budget, they increased it to 14%. So April just gone 14%. April coming is 18%. But Rachel Reeves wouldn't surprise me if she scraps it completely and you just get a flat rate of capital gains on the sale of shares. If that happens, some of the people that are in the process of selling their business now, if they don't sell or complete I think it's November 26th, then they may as well sell the business for half the price.
Mm-hmm. I suppose. Oh, sorry.
And that's the big issue, is because all of a sudden now, let's say you're negotiating with someone or you have someone under LOI, and you're like, I'm still, and all of a sudden their accountant saying, well, now you're going to pay all this taxes. It's like, well, I can't pay you more than I've agreed.
Yeah, definitely. I suppose in your game, by default, even if you don't like it, you have to kind of be involved in politics to a degree to understand what's going on with the economies, right? What do you feel the future is for the UK? Are you hopeful, or are you going to start trying to get involved in businesses, excuse me, that are more so overseas in Dubai or other places?
I think there's probably more opportunity in the US, and we'll talk about that in a sec. But I still think, long term, I still think the UK is a great place to invest. When you go through these situations, if you look at history, every time there's like macro squeezes through whatever it may be, whether this real estate or business, you go through different credit cycles anyway. And we're in a situation at the moment where, interest rates are still fairly high. They're not going to come down fast. They're coming down but slowly. They still don't really have a full grip on inflation. Inflation is still, well above where they say it is.
Well above.
But because it's tied to wages and government bonds, etc. It's no secret. They say that they manipulate the CPI, but it's they use geometric weighting where they swap different items out of the basket of goods to artificially change the inflation figure. So, that's a problem, and we're going through that cycle now. But usually in these parts of the business cycle is where the most money's made. You just don't know it yet. So I think that it's important to find good, solid, resilient businesses. You still don't want to be taking chances and being like, hopefully that'll be around, because we're also in a bit of a situation where not only is this happening, but you do have a massive change in technology, like biggest change ever in technology. So you do have to think about more than just what's going on from the macro side.
Very quick break from the podcast. It's Luke here from the Multipliers Club. If you're building a business or personal brand and want help with your content, paid ads, funnels, or anything AI, message us on Instagram at Harvey_Warrington_media. We've been helping brands, businesses, and entrepreneurs grow for over 6 years now. So DM us the letters TMC and we'll book you in for a completely free strategy session to see how we can help. You can also DM us on the Multipliers Club. I was going to say, so you talked about the group. Like, I know a lot of people say when you're buying a business, try and make it an ecosystem. Are your businesses very similar? Or
no? So we have things in different sectors. So our core focus at the moment, I haven't even mentioned this to anyone yet, but is like an agglomeration roll up. So one of the I feel is the biggest opportunities. What I just said to you then about getting stuff ready for private equity, rather than going through the whole process of raising the debt or equity to buy the company, cost of capital is very high already. So we had 5 civil engineering companies that we had under heads of terms. They was all in and around a similar geography, with all had access to a government contract, infrastructure linked contract. It's 10 years, right? So, and funds love contracted revenue, especially government contracted revenue. So originally we was looking to buy all of them, try and find some synergy across those companies. Some of them are competitors, but once you have the monopoly at that point. And then once we have them, we're going to look to probably buy 1 or 2 more and then eventually sell them. But that time horizon is probably 5 or 7 years. So I thought, how can we speed that up? Because even though, yes, that government contract's still going to be going in that time if they ever finish it, because they don't tend to finish much in the UK. But I thought there's got to be another way. So we basically offered them a different solution. So most of those deals were agreed at 50% day one, 50% over 60 months, paid in quarterly installments. So they're going to be waiting 5 years for the total payout. And some of it was also on performance too, just purely because of the contract. And we basically give them I give them the idea and said, look, rather than wait 5 years for the money, we could probably get in half the time and probably gave double the money. What does that sound like? And they was like, yeah, that sounds pretty good. What do we need to do? I said, well, our idea is to eventually sell to an institution. You're selling the company anyway. I know you want to sell to us because when you start to build good rapport with a business owner, they do care about, and most of them do care about the legacy of the company, who it goes to, and the staff, right? Regardless of what people say, that's why it's important not to make it too transactional. But I said, look, ultimately, you want to get paid for the value that you've built over the last 2-3 decades. So work with us and we'll find the right institution to sell to, but this is the way we're going to do it. So we offered them double the valuation and we give them a share for share exchange into a new holding company on double the valuation. And then there's a hurdle at that valuation. So in this case, we offered most of them 2 times. They go into the new holdco at 4 times. Everything over about 4 times, we have 50% off, as I was mentioning earlier on. We also get 10% to holdco. So now instead of raising the debt, instead of having to try to work out who's going to replace the current operators, they continue trading the company the way it is for the next 2 years. We find synergy at holdco level. We'll consolidate financials at holdco level, and then we start pitching them and prepping them for exit to pitch to a fund in 24, 36 months' time. So you've created the 2-3 million pounds of EBITDA to try and get a 8 to 10 times exit off something where you haven't had to raise any debt for. So we've changed it just purely because the landscape in the UK has changed. Cost of capital is really high. It's a bit of a shaky landscape. Employment rights, again, pretty ridiculous. Ton of additional costs going into the company with taxes, etc. So we thought, rather than try to weather that storm and also educate the business owner on, look, there's a lot of money that needs to be held back here and a lot of adjustments to be made to your profit because of all the changes. We can't just absorb now all the new NI increases and tax increases, like all of these things get adjusted because next year they're going to be different. So it was a bit more of a creative way of still doing the same thing without having to buy companies 100%.
Where did you learn all these different tactics? Because can't imagine there's that many.
Did you go to university?
No. I definitely wasn't academic in school. I left school straight away.
That's so mad. Because listening to you, you sound like crazy academic.
Yeah, no, I just go into like a bit of a zone. If I want to learn something, I learn it. But I like to learn, like you said, like the tactical way of doing it, because there's always a way. Like most things are quite easy to learn. Like you can learn them, especially now, in like not the whole thing, but you can learn a lot of things and get quite knowledgeable in like a week if you like absorb yourself in it. But to learn like the little nuances that make someone like a bit of an expert in a certain industry, that's when like the tactical side come in. So I try and follow the people who are good at that side, or learn the bits that, like I know in this industry, for instance, the legal side of it is really, really important. And because I was an academic, I always, at the start, I shied away from it because I thought, how am I going to learn understand what a lawyer knows? I don't understand the terminology. And then over time, I suppose when you're doing it, you just
It's interesting because you're always, I guess, trying to find out like the best way to get that deal for, I guess, as least money as possible now, I guess, right, for cash flow, etc. So it's good. That, most people probably don't realize that you can buy a business without putting money down. There's so many different tactics or things you can use, or like depending on the business seller, what they want out of it, right?
Yeah, and also I think that there's a lot of like old content online. So like a lot of the stuff that people probably watch now that's been uploaded 3 or 4 years ago, maybe even longer, like you could have done that 4 or 5 years ago, but like I said, the cost of capital is a big part of this. You know, you have to find money to buy the company, and if you are going to go and get debt finance, which a lot of people go to, I don't think is the only way, but we use like a blend of financing methods. But you know, if that's gonna be your go-to, you can't do it the way people was doing it 5 years ago, because when interest rates are 0, it's very different to where they are now.
I have a point. Sorry, go on.
So how many businesses have you exited to date?
Proper exits, 3. The rest of them are still there.
Okay. Nice.
So I've sold my shares back to other shareholders, but I wouldn't class that as an exit.
What's the biggest exit you've done?
10 million. It wasn't all mine, but yeah.
Nice.
How old were you when you made your first million?
Well, liquid million.
Both.
Like million of like equity. I don't know, probably like 28, 29. So it wasn't, I reinvested so much money and lost a lot of money when I was in my 20s.
How old are you now?
37.
Okay.
So I think the last 10 years of probably I had the biggest growth. This might be my biggest growth phase. And I think it's just because my first child was 10 years ago. And I just think that, I don't know, I just thought.
Was that the motivator, the kids?
Big one. Like I've always been like really, I don't know, I've always had like a big mindset, as in always wanted to do more. And coming from like a small town, really, most people just think it's bullshit, right? They think that's not going to happen. Why would that happen? Yeah, but I never really cared. Like obviously when you're younger, it does affect you a little bit, but I've always just cracked on and thought, why not? So I think when I had my first child, it was like, yeah, I actually need to do something.
Yeah, I'd love to find out, like growing up where you grew up in a small town where probably not many people make it to be successful. Like where did you find your drive from? Like who were your idols, or where did you get inspiration?
My dad was a big one. So he came from like a really, really rough estate growing up. Literally had nothing, didn't have a dad. When he was 6, he was like looking after, like he was making breakfast at 6 for his little sister. It's just, didn't have a good upbringing. So when I seen, like he made something, you know, he wasn't very good with money, but he went into financial services, become an IFA. So I seen that like he had some success, and he was very stoic, big on mindset. And I thought, and he always made it, I don't know, he made me believe it. Don't worry about failing. I was never scared to fail, and it was thanks to him. But I sort of went against him, as in like, I didn't listen. I wanted to find like I can do this on my own, which is stupid really. You know, someone's trying to give you advice. So that was a big thing for me is, the thing is, I always felt like he never fulfilled his potential, you know, because like I don't drink alcohol, I just don't party, I've never really been for me. And because in financial services there's a big networking and drinking thing, I always felt that held him back. So I thought I'm not going to allow that to hold me back. So that was a big motivator. I feel like everyone that ends up finding some form of success has a bit of a chip on their shoulder. And I don't know what that could be, different chip for every single person. But for me, it was a bit like, I want to do this. I don't want to get distracted by any of that nonsense. And also I want to be obviously a good dad for my kids. And I think that the best way to do that is value-driven behavior. And I thought, you know, I can't be saying to them, don't do X, and then they see me do it. I just think that's dumb. So I just wanted to make sure that I was what I said to them, you know.
So do you have, we're speaking on America, but do you have any businesses here in Dubai?
Yeah, we have one here too.
What's that?
It's a real estate agency.
Oh, really?
So yeah,
Okay.
we're not as big as your previous guest, unfortunately.
Yeah.
They're amazing. But we're a little bit different. So we're like more boutique. So originally we bought that company. It started in 2016, and the 2 shareholders fell out, and it came up for sale. And a friend of mine brought the opportunity to me. So I helped negotiate the deal, and then we got rid of all the old staff, got rid of the office, and basically started from scratch and said, it's a commission-only game, right? So it's like there was no real value in the company, but it gives us that bit of credibility of history, like 2016, rather than starting a new one and trying to build the relationship with all the developers here. So, we originally wanted to do what some of the bigger agencies did, get 300-400 agents, get them out there and working, and then you have a real small hit rate of how many actually do well.
Yeah.
But I thought there's obviously got to be a more efficient way of doing it. That's a lot of training, a lot of resource and investment to try and figure out 10 good people, right? So we wanted to make an agency where it's like, if you work for us, you make money. End of. So, everyone here is trying to make 10 grand a month when you're an agent. That's like the figure that everyone aims to make, right? So we thought if we can get 10 to 15 agents making 10 grand a month, and if you don't survive the first couple of months, you just go and work for somebody else, it'll be more appealing, and we'll be able to compete with some of the bigger companies, Strada, White & Co., Dacia, Allsop and Allsop. Those companies, if you come to Dubai, why would you want to work for anyone else? It's like they're proven, they're very good, they have fantastic infrastructure. So for us to stand out and be appealing to anyone, we can't compete with that, right? So for us, it was like, the way we can compete is you'll make money if you work with us, and there's only going to be 10 or 12 people that actually make money, but everyone makes money.
Yeah.
If you don't make money, you don't last. So we did it a little bit differently, but we bought Davra 2.5 years ago.
It's working well then, that strategies.
It is and it isn't. It's because it's actually quite hard to find talent, and it makes you realize why those other companies do go for crazy volume, because it is a brutal, ruthless game. Real estate over here is very hard.
Quick pause while we tell you about one of our businesses. So my name is Jake and I run Dial a Flight Concierge. We look after high net worth individuals, people you may see on the TV, YouTube, football pitch, or someone you just might see in the boardroom. Essentially, we take care of everything travel related, securing the best rates and finding the best route for them to travel. We are a travel agency first and a concierge company second, available 24 hours around the clock and easy to get hold of on WhatsApp. If you're looking to go away or you have a corporate trip planned, please follow along on our socials and you'll see exactly how we can help you. At The Travel Entrepreneur, tagged somewhere around this video. Let's get back to the podcast.
So what's the most amount of money, not necessarily put down in one hit, but what's the agreed largest amount that you've purchased the company for?
Probably, about 7 million.
And what size are you typically looking for, or what's the lowest you'd go for?
Well, ideally, the minimum EBITDA really is going to be like 250 grand. At that point, depending on the industry, obviously, but at that point, the company's going to have a bit about it. Probably got some decent talent in there, but it does depend, because there's things now that you can have 2 people and you're making £1 million profit. So
Yeah.
As far as the old boring businesses go, that's probably the lowest. But then really, you don't really want to be paying more than like 600k for that company. So
And what's the biggest revenue and profit business you've got in your group right now?
probably the biggest revenue is automotive dealerships, because they're lumpy, aren't they? You sell a car, it's 35k a time, 40k, sometimes 50k. So I don't really chase the revenue side of it, because those companies, we have like a small dealership that's doing 10 million, but it's sub 5% margin, so it's bullshit, really. And people say, I'm an 8-figure business owner. So like our automotive dealerships do like quite large revenue combined. But the margins are pretty terrible. The best, most profitable is probably the one I'm in the process of selling now, which is why I moved here. So that's about $1.5 million EBITDA. In regards to good profit, that's it, because that's completely hands-off profit, runs itself. Good, strong business, 35 years old.
What niche industry?
Is that? Build, like construction.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
How come you've moved here then? How did that come about?
So I just didn't want to take the exit proceeds in the UK. I was just...
Yeah, fair enough.
it was a personal... I put the call option in my personal name, so I could move out here and exercise the option on exit out here because I've had enough.
Can you do that pretty quickly? Or do you have to live it for a certain amount of time to be able to exit that from here?
Yeah, as long as you give up your tax
Yeah,
residency.
okay, cool.
Yeah.
How much is that exiting for?
10 million.
Oh, is that the
That's
one?
the one, yeah.
okay.
It's a no-brainer, though, isn't it?
Yeah, because in the UK, how much would you have had to pay CGT for that?
A lot. Obviously, the whole 10 million is not mine, but a lot. It'd be almost pointless. Like,
Yeah.
it'd be like so, and that's like realistically, that's like a small exit for what some people are selling companies for. If you're a founder and you build it from scratch, and again 30, 40, 50 million exit, you'd be absolutely crazy.
You know Ben Reed?
No,
Oh, yeah, we had him on the other day. He exited his for $30 million.
and
But yeah,
Similar
he's
to you.
out here now.
Yeah, that's why he came to Dubai.
Yeah.
You know, and you can fully understand it. You know, one thing I've learned just from 2 days of back-to-back podcasts, the UK develops some incredible entrepreneurs.
yeah,
Really good business builders. And it's a shame the UK is kind of designed the way it is right now because people like you, like Ben, who exited for 30 million, they're being almost forced to leave. Where if the UK tax system was designed slightly differently, they probably wouldn't mind paying some tax.
no, I think it's obviously other things, right? But I think if the UK, focused on entrepreneurship, it would attract. It would be like a sponge because there's people from all over the world. Like if they even had a nomad visa, right, that had tax breaks for people coming from other countries, entrepreneurs live it. You know, many people around the world would go to live in London and operate from London if there was like a tax break. You know, it's just the same as Bali, Portugal, Spain. All those countries are doing. They're giving people tax breaks to go and operate there because they know they're contributing towards the economy.
And then the countries boom.
Yeah, I don't
Bingo.
understand why we don't do that.
I-
And
I know.
Ireland even do it because everything's in Ireland, like Google headquarters,
Yeah.
Facebook,
Yeah, I
LinkedIn.
heard Ireland are
all
quite
that.
good for, is it corp tax?
Yeah, and VAT too.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
loads of businesses will go
So
there.
so a lot of companies
Sunny
in the
here,
UK.
The turnover taxes for like, yeah, they are the ones that get you. Like for me in the construction thing, I worked out roughly in a year, if it wasn't for the turnover taxes, we'd have made like an extra 400 or 500k profit, which would have gone into my pocket. Instead, we're taking the company under this year.
So that's the
like-
biggest problem. It's-
You'd be saying, wow, you're really successful. That's a good company. I know it's not millions, but you say that's a really
Yeah.
good company, you know, and you could weather the storm for certain things. And also, if I'd done that for the last few years, I'd have been reinvested and actually more chance that 500,000 would have been nearer probably to 1 million and where that would be in 5-10 years. And that's one company. I know huge companies, especially in the construction space, old companies doing 50 mil, that have gone under in the last couple of years.
They need to really, just VAT in general needs to be looked at from like it's hard to do it on like a business to business, let's look at this business and should it be paying 20% VAT? It's hard to do it that way, but some of those sectors they really need to, like for instance, if you're a consultant, right? A friend of mine, he's a IT consultant. He's moved here just purely because he's just getting slammed with taxes and he's hybrid. He just works wherever he wants. Like, why would that person stay in the UK?
Yeah.
It doesn't even make sense for consultants to be paying the taxes that they pay. And also, then if you have, I know over here a lot of info business owners move here, but they're probably running. I know a friend of mine, the guy who's going to have on the podcast. I dread to think what he's spending on Facebook ads, but because they're based in Ireland, you can't claim the VAT back.
Oh, yeah, that's annoying as well.
But then every sale he makes, you got to take 20% off the top. It's just silly, right? They're pushing entrepreneurship away, and then obviously increasing employment rights, which I'm not saying is a bad thing, but you need to make it. The reason why this place does so well, the reason why the US does so well is because they're performance-based economies. If you don't perform, you don't work, you don't contribute towards the company, you're gone. And that's the way it should be. We for some reason, we incentivize low productivity.
Yeah.
All the restrictions on AI in European law is like, you just don't want anyone to build anything meaningful in this part of
do
the
you know
world.
what? It's very much a double-edged sword, right? I find myself watching, I'm a capitalist for sure, but I find myself watching like left-wing versus right-wing debates, especially in the USA. And even in the UK, there's many people who believe that individuals who earn over £1 million a year should be taxed 100%. over $1 million. There's people campaigning for this. Like there's that dude, the new leader of the Green Party. He wants to legalize drugs and he wants to make it illegal to rent out your flat. That's his policy, and he is actually surging in the polls. So like, there's a big audience in the UK that actually just want to fuck us twice.
But all you do, if someone said to me, you live in the UK, over £1 million is 100% tax, you just stop working at £1 million.
Literally.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
But also the thing is, with a lot of like the sort of the Green Party individuals, you know, you've seen it before. They go into these conventions and landing on private jets, and it's like, it's just nonsense, you know. And like, there's obviously some people that really believe in the thing that they're pushing, but that's the only thing with politics. It's just a bit of a circus these days. It's just awful.
100%. Yeah.
What's so you said you see a big opportunity in America. Have you got companies there already? What's the opportunity you see there? Has that changed because of recent politics, or?
Yeah, I think definitely because of recent politics, but there was always opportunity there. I think it's, you know, and you look at the size of the UK compared to just states in America, there's much more opportunity to grow and scale in that part of the world, and my business partner's in the States, so it makes total sense. Now, the thing over there, they got a thing called the SBA program, which is like a government-backed loan. Trump just changed the law that you can't be non-US resident and use it, whereas before, an American could have owned 51% of the company and you could have used the SBA program. Unfortunately, you can't anymore. But I actually think it's a good thing, because the problem I found going back and forth quite a lot over the last 2 years is the ETA, like entrepreneurship to acquisition space, is massively growing over there. It's all the Ivy League schools are pushing like courses on it. So, you know, universities are really behind, you know, go and buy a company and grow it rather than going up the corporate ladder or whatever. So it's a big space over there. But the SBA program, unfortunately, all those lenders started hosting like localized meetups with business owners, telling them that, oh, we can pre-qualify you for an SBA loan, and this is what a buyer can get to buy your company. So all of a sudden it's pushing multiples of like pretty like small businesses up. And then Biz Buy Sell, which is the site most people look on, everyone's looking on there. It's basically who's willing to put in the most money to buy the company. So you're basically in an auction against all the other people. And if I'm totally honest, a lot of the people over there, they don't quite have the knowledge to do it. And I mean that in the most respectful way. There's a big thing over there called search funds. So somebody's gone and raised some money to buy companies, right? As some of the people I've met who's raised 20, 30, $40 million funds, they have no idea how to buy or run a company. I mean, no idea. But someone's give them that money. Because America, you can probably raise 10 million from your neighbor. It's crazy, right? Yeah. So I think there's like a big education gap, and it is being bridged because there's some good people hosting, you know, proper networking events and, again, localized meetups to educate people on it. But I feel that it's not moving fast enough. I actually think that the SBA failure rate is very low. I think from memory, a couple of years ago, like it has like a 90% success rate when someone buys a company.
So it's like you use a loan, is it like 100%?
Like 90%. Government backed.
Yeah, so they'll give you the money to buy a business.
Yeah, the government is a government backed loan.
Brilliant.
Yeah, and it's like you can depend on what loan.
It's like a mortgage.
Yeah, that's like,
you know.
Is that US wide or is that just a couple of states?
I'm pretty sure it's US-wide. Yeah.
So is your partner out there? Is he American?
He is now. he's actually originally from the UK. He's been out there 27 years.
Okay, fair. Because I was going to say, like, I know everyone in business that goes out to America says how different the market is to take your business or your product and expand through the States. So how have you found that so far, like, out there? Is it very different?
Oh, completely. Like, if you think about in the UK, can you imagine, right, going down your local pub, football club, or wherever you go, and say, oh, guess what, guys, I've had an amazing year this year. We just did 2 million quid. Like, who wants to really hear you say that in a local area? Like,
probably be called a prick.
Yeah, because so in America, People love it.
Oh, right on, man.
They want to help. They're like, oh, amazing. It's a completely different mindset. In the UK, you almost like get bashed for doing well and being successful. So people that don't want, and that's why I think when you are looking to buy companies, it's quite easy to build rapport and have conversations with business owners, because you're basically giving them a platform to brag about the great company they built for the first time ever. You're like, tell me about the whole history of the company. Tell me what you've done. It's amazing. And they'll just reel it off. Whereas, in America, everyone's like super pumped all the time. Yeah. And you don't have to, like, for instance, in the UK, if you had a distribution company, some form of logistics, really you're going to want to try and capture quite a large part of the UK to build a big company, right? Yeah. Because the UK is so small. You can do that in like Arizona, in a Phoenix only, and you build a big company. You don't even have to, it's because it's so big. So I think there's a lot of opportunity just in general because of that. But I do think, back on the SBA, I think if we look back 7 to 10 years from now, I think the failure rate is going to be very, very high based on what I've seen the last couple of years of the type of people buying companies. Yeah. And I just think
that failure rate, if the business ain't going to work because of people buying it.
Yeah, I just don't think that they understand what they're doing.
Just underqualified, like not right to run a business.
Yeah, I just think that speaking to them, their thought behind buying the companies they're buying, I don't think they quite understand. Like, I'm not saying you can't buy a company with a really good management team and be quite hands off, because like that's what we look for, right? And you can do it, and people do it every single day. But they're not treating them like businesses the way they're going in. The people I've spoke to, I don't know how they even raised 30 million quid to go and do it. I just don't know who's giving them money.
Yeah, it's crazy. So talking about the UK-US comparison, we've got quite a few clients in the USA for our marketing company in the med spa space. So I started to research the economy in the US. I was interested. And apparently California's economy, which is one state out of 51 states, California's economy is bigger than the whole economy of the UK. That's insane, isn't it? And that's just one state. Yeah. And then Texas, the size of Texas is 3.5 times the size landmass of the whole of the UK.
Is it really?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Mate, and that's a lot of businesses are moving to Texas because I believe they've got good tax breaks, haven't they?
Yeah.
Similar to Miami, right? A lot of people are moving to Miami.
Miami and Texas, it's crazy.
The main places.
Yeah. Where do you think the go-to places in the States? Like if you want to move over there, you're an entrepreneur.
Miami. Miami's Dubai of America.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah, everyone wants to see Miami.
Yeah, that's like, if you go around Brickell and design Miami Beach, it's like this. I wouldn't say it's not as safe. Yeah. It's safe. It's not as safe as this, but that, for me, that's the Dubai of the US. Like, California is amazing, but it's just got a lot of issues.
And the taxes are high there, right?
Yeah, I think that the thought process behind the leadership is not all there. But there's the reason why America is so favourable for entrepreneurship. It's one, it was built by entrepreneurs, but then also that there's so many different places you can go to get benefits. So if you look at, there's 4 states, I think there may be 5, but the 4 that I know of, they don't share any personal private information about anyone or anything, right? You've got Nevada, Wyoming, New Mexico, and Delaware. The reason why Google and all them companies are based in Delaware is because no matter what you ask for, those places don't share any personal private information. Also, there's 0 state tax. You pay federal tax with 0 state tax. So there's a lot of people that set up in those areas for the benefits. Now, the UK doesn't have anything like that. Yeah, you have Jersey, right? But, I don't know if you guys have read the book by Guy Hans, The Life of a Dealmaker. Great book. He was the highest UK taxpayer when he worked at Goldman.
Oh, they changed the tax law for him, wasn't it?
It may have been him. So yeah, it may have been him. So he was the highest taxpayer and worked at Goldman. He started up a private equity fund called Terra Firma. He went offshore, offshore to like Jersey, and he was doing a lot of his trips to like New York and different places. And he was, in his book, he talks about how his connect flights were in London. Now, I always thought that the rule was, and I know people still say it today, that as long as you connect and you don't clear passport control, it doesn't count as a day. But in his book, he says that they actually stopped him one day on a connect flight and said, you've gone over your days, you owe us taxes. So when it comes to like non-resident status, there's a ties test, but a lot of people don't know.
Yeah.
It's so grey. So
yeah. No, it's not that. It was someone. It was the guy that sold. Maybe the guy that was in with Facebook or something in America, or someone like that sold so many shares and then left and did the loophole and fucked him, and it was like the biggest amount of tax kind of avoided ever, and they changed the law and named it after him. I can't remember.
Where do you find the businesses that you're trying to invest in or buy?
all off market. So we
just outreach or
so someone I partnered with a few years ago. He's like very good, like techie, and he built a software. He used a ton of different software to get the results he want, and then he just basically put it all into a piece of software, and it's quite relentless, really. So the volume's crazy. So if you want something, you find it quite quick.
Are you trying to now, moving forward, more so scale just through acquisitions, or scale the businesses you've got in terms of your revenue and profits?
So I want to try, and most of the things that I'm in at the moment, I want to come out of. Okay. And then what I did with the construction company that we're selling now, I just want to do more of that. And the agglomeration role that I mentioned, I think that there's more upside, less risk, and that's what I'm looking for, really. And you've got stuff, those sorts of plays when you're selling to institutions, you can get those £100 million exits and have a piece of it without having to go and raise a load of capital or get a ton of debt and put into a company.
So would you sell what you've got now, try to sell that as a group to achieve a higher multiple, or do you think you need to break it down?
Some of it could be grouped together, but a lot of it's just has zero synergy. So it's like, you can't be like, I got a civil engineering company and a car dealership. Do you want these together? So, yeah.
Fair play. So that's the goal over the next few years, to start exiting?
Yeah, start offloading, really just cashing in on some of the equity I have there, and then just start focusing on some of the other things that we're working on at the moment, and mainly stateside. Nice.
Nice. Cool. Well, where can people find you online on socials to follow the journey?
Instagram, probably D_Ludlow.
And you've got we didn't actually talk about it, but you got the program, right? Helping people get into this as well. So if they want help, you've got the coaching side for people to be buying businesses.
There's decent sized community now as well. Yeah. So
what is that? Tell us a little bit more about that. I think I'll keep getting who the ads
yeah,
to.
I get who the ads as well.
Yeah. So initially we did it for deal flow. So a lot of people would come in, we'd help them, and then because of social media, people would share their success, and then other people get interested, right? And then a marketing company approached me a few years ago and said, do you want us to grow this for you? And I was like, the reason why I haven't really run paid ads or anything at that point, because it's time, right? And it's a results-driven program. I don't want to be one of those people that sell programs and the people don't get the thing that they pay for. I hate that, right? I've done that myself. I pay people in different industries and you don't get what you want. So I thought if I was ever to do it, I want to make sure that it's results focused and people, get success. So they grew it, and that's where you've seen the ads. We've got a really good community now. It's very like tight-knit community, do a lot of events. There's a lot of people doing deals together in there. And it's just basically, we show you how to do it, and then very focused. So if you find a deal, me and the team review it every single week for you, tell you what to offer. We give you the people to close the deal for you. It's kind of like a hand-holding way of buying the business. Still got to put work in. It's not going to land on your plate, but we just give you the resources.
That's cool. You get a lot of people jump on that.
Yeah, it's growing. It's growing. Yeah, we're quite.
It is unique because I get hit with adverts. I'm sure all of us get hit with that because we're in business. Get hit with so many people trying to sell you different things, and usually there's so many property ones. There's so many property ones, different people. But you're probably the only person in that kind of space I get hit with adverts about. So I'm sure it must be working well.
No, it is working well. We're I'm not saying we're picky as in we're you don't fit it, so you can't do it. But there's some people I feel are more ready than others. If someone just literally isn't ready, then there's a load of free content on my YouTube. Go and do that. Come back when you are ready to do it, because there's no point in someone coming in, they pay for something and then they're just not ready. Mindset's the biggest part of entrepreneurship. If you don't get that right, you can't really do anything. You do need to believe that you can do it. Otherwise, there won't be any results.
Yeah, wicked.
Nice.
Yeah, brilliant. We'll put all the links in the.
Yeah, we'll put all the
chat.
links in the thing.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on, Dee.
Yeah, we made it happen, mate.
really
We made
good.
it
Thanks for
happen.
coming
Yeah,
through.
18
finally.
months in the making, mate.
Finally.